The Super Bowl is right around the corner, and that means combine season is right around the corner, which means the NFL draft's coming up here soon. So it's time for another mock draft. My name's Tyler, here with my brother Ryan. We're going to break down another one of our 2026 NFL mock drafts. We have a bunch of these coming out here and a bunch of other offseason content as well. So if you like to talk football during the offseason and want to see who your team might draft, hit that subscribe button and leave a comment. Let us know who you think is going to be selected by your team this April. And Ryan, let's get into it here. You're a Patriots fan, and your team is still alive with one game left to go, entering the Super Bowl. In this mock, they're picking 31st, so you will have the odd numbers. I am a Falcons fan, and they are not picking the first round, so my opinions don't matter when it comes to that. So I will go evens on this one. So Ryan, you have the
All right.
super tough decision on who the Raiders are going to pick first overall.
Yeah. I think this one's pretty easy.
Yeah.
Fernando Mendoza. I mean, have the honor here to select him first overall in this mock draft. I think overall, is he the greatest quarterback prospect we've ever seen? I would argue no, but I think like
Well,
when
what?
you start,
Yeah, that's not an argument.
well, yeah,
As the
like,
greatest, yeah.
but I think when you look at like what you want in a quarterback, especially Tom Brady is involved in the organization, he's going to be kind of mentoring whoever this pick is. And Fernando Mendoza, I think, comes in fantastic arm, very smart, very good processor, and then on top of all of that, he has a strong arm. He's a good athlete. He's not Patrick Mahomes or like some of those guys, but a good athlete, as you saw on that 4th and 5 QB draw that IU fans will forever
Oh,
watch
yeah.
with adorance. So he's going to go here first overall, and I don't think there's really much question about it at this point.
No, it's I think his greatest talent is going to be his mind and how
Yeah,
cerebral I think he can get. And being an IU fan, watching him all year, it's been an absolutely wild journey to watch. But I think that's going to be a thing here as well because I think he's got an above average arm. I think he is athletic enough. I think when it comes to his athleticism and his running ability, I think one thing that was really underrated that I had talked about, but then everybody saw, I think, on that wild 4th and 5 QB draw touchdown run was actually I think he's got extremely good vision for running.
yeah,
And we've seen that throughout other examples, and we'll break that down throughout the offseason as well here too. But no, this is pure cut as pure cut as a first overall pick in this draft class um, that we're going to get. Partially too as well. It's not the best draft class overall, but a team that is so QB needy like the Raiders, uh, they're going to go with them. So moving on now to the Jets here. Aaron Glenn, they also need a quarterback as well. But I'm just not seeing it as of right now. I don't think Ty Simpson, it's very possible the Jets could take Ty Simpson later on in the first round as well, trade up and go and get him. But there's going to be nobody else here like a Trinidad Chambliss, Garrett Nussmeier, Carson Beck. A lot of these guys here are going to fall. I don't think they're second round or third round quarterback talents. I'm going to be very interesting to see where a lot of these guys end up going here. So for me, when I look at this Jets roster, you love to get some more help, I think, for Garrett Wilson. But then at the same time, I say that you do have A.D. Mitchell, you do have John Mechie, you do have Arian Smith out of Georgia as well too. You got a good tight end, Mason Taylor. You do trade off some key defensive pieces, and to me, I think that's where I'm going to go. You trade off some key defensive pieces, and to me, when I looked at it the national championship really was a Fernando Mendoza versus Rueben Bain competition. And because both those guys played lights out, both teams played lights out, but those were the two superstars, I think, of both those teams, and they kept going toe to toe. And I mean, there's a lot of different directions. I think this is where the butterfly effect really starts for this draft. And for me, I know there's all things about arm length and all that stuff. It did not seem to matter for Ruben Bain at all this year. And
yeah,
I I think they're going to go with Ruben Bain here. It's a lot of different directions I think they could go. Caleb Downs, if you just want to go straight ball player, I think that would be a very interesting one here. Um, you can go with some other Ohio State guys here, but I'm going to go with Ruben Bain. Maybe it's kind of a vanilla pick, but at the same time, though, too, if you're just looking at best prospects, I like he's one of the few up there that I think are like top notch, like best
Yeah.
prospects in this class.
I think he, in my opinion, qualifies as a blue chip edge rusher. And the last time Aaron Glenn, an Aaron Glenn team drafted an edge rusher second overall that had arm length questions, I think it turned out fairly well there with Aiden Hutchinson. So,
Yeah.
not saying he's going to be that good, but he's an absolute game wrecker. He's just as good in the run game as well. And I think you look contractually, it looks like Jermaine Johnson is going to be moving on from the team after the 2026 season. And so I think it just makes sense here. Go ahead and nip that problem in the bud already, especially while you have a surplus of picks. So here with the Cardinals, so I have a draft crush, and it doesn't really make sense because I am usually the positional value guy of like, you take this position in this range, but Jeremiah Love is just too freaking good. And I think you look at the Cardinals running back room, and James Conner is going to be in his early 30s. Trey Benson has not been able to stay healthy. Amari DiMercato is dropping balls before he gets into the end zone. I think Jeremiah Love in this offense, with how much, and granted, I know they're getting a whole new coaching staff, which is part of the reason why I really struggle to take defensive players here, because I don't know what style edge rusher they like, or if they're going to run a 3-4 or a 4-3. But I think Jeremiah Love, I think it's early for a running back, but watching him, I think he has all the makings to be the next face of the running backs in the NFL. And I think Arizona would be wise, especially with the offensive line that they already have, to continue to invest in this run game. You have Marvin Harrison Jr. I like Michael Wilson. I think this is a deeper wide receiver class than it is top heavy after analyzing some of these guys a little bit more. So I'm actually going to go with Jeremiah Love because I think he's just the best player on the board right now. I know it's probably a little early for a running back, mixing it up here, but I think Jeremiah Love is going to go earlier than people think because he's just that damn good.
Well, and I think it kind of goes with the Fernando Mendoza category as well here too. It's just not that deep of a class. Is Mendoza the best QB1 prospect? Like pick one, round one, pick one prospect? No. But at the same time though too, it's a deeper class of just really of good guys, or maybe really good guys. And then when you get a few of these guys that stand out well above the rest, you're like, let's just go and get that spot here. And for the Cardinals, it's interesting because they need some offensive line help. They still haven't picked a head coach yet, so I could see it as of right now. Once when we get a better clarity of who the head coach is going to be, maybe we'll get a little direction. But I think though you go get Jeremiah Love, especially too with James Conner coming off a devastating injury, Trey Benson as well too. Just maybe reset the whole position there. So
and one more thing. Oh shoot, I lost my train of thought. Oh,
so you interrupted me for nothing.
Yeah.
So moving on here now to Tennessee. Robert Saleh is now the head coach there as well. Like what they have over, they traded off some pieces throughout the team on the defensive side of the ball. So could absolutely see them going there. Caleb Downs, maybe do Arvell Reese, Peter Woods, Sonny Styles. But I think another thing though too is you do have Cam Ward, who I think has a lot of serious potential, and they need to address the offensive line, and I think they absolutely will do that. But I think you need to keep on rebuilding this receiver room. Alec Iomanor and Shamar DK, I think, are good developmental prospects, and we saw them improve a lot. Also, too, part of his Cam Ward was being ridiculous at times with some of the throws he was able to make. And so Calvin Ridley is coming off an injury. Van Jefferson is old and overrated. So to me, I think you're going to go with your top receiver that's on the board. And I mean, to me, I think Jordyn Tyson fits the mold opposite kind of Alec Iomanor, Shamar DK. Mekhi Lemon, I think also too as well. I mean, he's a first round receiver. I don't think he's fourth overall, but he is a more specific kind of guy. I think Jordyn Tyson could end up being like that number one guy for you there as well. So I'm going to go with Jordyn Tyson here going to Tennessee.
Yeah. And with Tyson, I think he's shown no concern on the field when he's been on the field. It's just, he has some injury concerns that I think might.
How's the hammy? How's all that stuff? Yeah.
Yeah. And that's really it with him. And so if you're okay with taking that risk, I think that he's the clear number one wide receiver in this class. So here with the Giants, I think it's going to be really interesting to see kind of what Harbaugh starts to instill there. Cause I think, Andrew Thomas looked good at left tackle. They kind of started to figure things out in the run game. defensively, like that defensive front, you got a really good rotation of edge rushers there. They've even kind of put Abdul Carter on the field in like a NASCAR package as like a middle linebacker and have him rush from that position as well. So I think the Giants have pretty good bones. And I think the biggest thing that I would want to upgrade is that right tackle spot. Jermaine Illuminor was fine. But I think if you go and add Francis Maui-Noa, who is just an absolute beast, and you get him running in front of Cam Scatteraboo, he's my offensive tackle one in this class just because of his physicality and what he brings to the table. I think he's athletic enough at his 6'6", 330 size too, to be out there on an island the majority of the time. And so I think you make the investment here in just an absolutely sturdy right tackle, and then kind of continue to protect Jackson Dart, who can get a little crazy at times, continue to invest in the run game of that offense, which was really clicking when everyone was healthy. So I'm going to go with Francis Maui-Noa here, and invest in the trenches. We know the Harbaugh brothers love to do that.
Yeah, no, he was a guy too as well that really impressed in the national championship as well too. And I think maybe you do the Will Campbell experiment, put him at tackle. If it doesn't work out, all right, we'll kick him in the guard because he's going to be good then as well
Yeah.
too. So here with Cleveland, I think similar with Tennessee. The only difference is we don't know who their quarterback is going to be. It's looking like it's going to be the
Shedeur
Rams.
Sanders made the Pro Bowl. How's
I know.
he not going to?
I know. Good for him. Anyways, back to more important thing. Congrats to Shedeur Sanders. Pro Bowl's been irrelevant for the longest.
Oh,
longest time. Like, and that's not a shot at Shedeur Sanders. That's more of a shot at the NFL and how they've made the Pro Bowl like as irrelevant as possible. It seems like.
Yeah.
So, but anyways, for Cleveland though, a lot of different things I think they could go. It's going to depend on who the quarterback is. Or not the quarterback, the head coach is going to be. I believe it's one of the Rams coordinators. I believe it was the DC. I believe it was the defensive coordinator. I'm blanking on his name right now that I've been seeing that's been connected with him a lot. But I do think this is going to be a heavy offensive draft. Ironically, if they go defensive coordinator here. And similar thing with Tennessee, you got to get them some more weapons. And this is where, to me, I think this is where actually I'm going to jump Carnell Tate and actually pick Mekhi Lemon as well too. I think he's going to be a guy that can create space and be shiftier a little bit more. And I think a guy that could really mesh well with Shedeur Sanders. And you got Jerry Jeudy, you got Cedric Tillman as well too, the bigger guys. Judy's supposed to be your number one outside guy who he's supposed to be. He's not like a number one. But I think if you bring a guy like Mekhi Lemon in there that brings more attention into the middle, that slot piece that you can move around, it's maybe will open up some more opportunities for Jerry Jeudy. And as well, too, now Harold Fannin really came on strong in his rookie year. And it panned out really well. So just adding some more guys that can create their own space that defense had to worry about. I think Mekhi Lemon is going to be a little bit better guy for that than some of the other guys. Maui-Noa, I would like him here as well if he was on the board.
Yeah. With Lemon, I think he's a really dynamic threat everywhere on the field. You can throw screen passes to him. He's going to beat you on speed outs, on slants, like deep crossers, go balls. Like he can beat you on literally anything. Whereas Carnell Tate, he's a fantastic route runner. He's great in contested catch situations, but he's primarily winning down the field. And I think the Browns need more than that right now. Here with the Washington Commanders, I think it's really interesting kind of the situation that they're in because, 2 years ago, they were in the NFC Championship game. And I'm not saying like that they would have made it back there if it weren't for all the injuries, but I think injuries played a huge part in their season. I think defensive tackle wise, they're fine. Laramie Tunsil and Josh Connerly is a really solid tackle duo. This is too early, I think, to invest in the guard position. There's not really a tight end on the board that I think is going to go in the top 15. I think Kenyon Sadiq you could make a case for. I'm really tempted to just go Arvell Reese. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do because I think with Dan Quinn in that defense, you can put him at edge rusher. Dan Quinn can be really creative with how he lines them up. I think he can play middle linebacker. I could also go Sonny Styles, but I think Arvell Reese is going to fill more needs for them in Dan Quinn's defense.
I can see it. Yeah, and once again, I think it's going to be a guy. I will say, admittedly, I am probably more of a Sonny Styles guy, but he is definitely much more of just a pure linebacker. I think
Yeah.
Arvo Reese is going to be honestly like what Jalen Walker is for the Atlanta Falcons, where he's just going to be a guy that
Yeah.
probably in man, he's just so freaking athletic, and then you can move him around a bunch. But if you're looking for a pure linebacker, that's where I would go with Sonny Styles, and Sonny Styles is going to be taken here shortly. So not here. I'm going to go with another Ohio State guy. I really don't want to just be the receiver guy, but at the same time, though, too, if I go look at the needs for the New Orleans Saints here, you got Chris Olave, amazing Ohio State receiver. Let's run it back with another one, and Carnell Tate. And to me, I also think too, if you're Kellen Moore, like you got to have a more dynamic offense here as well. Tyler Shuck did a lot better, I think, than everybody thought that he could, if we're being honest. And Chris Olave benefited from that. A couple of these other guys benefited from that, but even too as well. Chris Olave is the only guy on the roster that was drafted in the first 2 days, if I'm not mistaken. Devon Villay, when was he drafted here? I think he was
Oh,
signed
was he a
by Denver.
UDFA?
I think he was UDFA. Yeah. So it's Chris Olave is the only guy drafted in the top 100. Actually, Bub Means was drafted in the 5th round. So only guy on the Saints roster in the receiving
Man,
room
yeah.
drafted in the top 130 in picks over the past several years of drafts. So they really need to address that receiving room. And I think Kellen Moore has a great offensive mind if he gets some even better talent in there. No offense to these other guys, but I think this offense could be something special.
Yeah, and I honestly, they should probably double dip. I don't know how many picks they have in this draft as a whole, but there
That'd
are
be
a
a good
ton of
draft though.
guys that you could go and get. I think in the fourth, fifth round that are going to be more of your like slot receiver types that are going to
Yeah.
be kind of the intermediate guys that I think would be a good fit as well. So here with the Chiefs, I think this is a really another really interesting spot because again, you have Patrick Mahomes. I think this defense with Steve Spagnuolo is still really prominent. And this offensive line, they were improved. Josh Simmons missed some time. Jawan Taylor will probably get moved on from. But man, I think it'd be really hard to pass Caleb Downs here because I think that safety position is a spot that they could improve. But then I think like you have Leo Chenal. I think you have a really good corner room overall with who's the kid from Washington that they drafted 21st overall. I
Trent
can think of
McDuffie.
that. Trent McDuffie. I was thinking of
Yeah.
Justin Watson, and then they got the rookie last year from Cal. And
Justin Watson was the receiver.
oh,
Didn't mean
Justin,
it. Jalen
uh,
Watson.
yeah, Jalen
I think
Watson.
who you're thinking of. Yeah.
Uh, I'm just getting all my names mixed up right now. But I think Caleb Downs could be a finishing touch for the back end of that defense. He is a blue chip player, but just the fact that he plays safety, he's going to fall down the board a little bit. And whether you want him to play deep, play in the box, cover a tight end, cover a slot receiver, he can pretty much do anything you want. And I think that would be the ultimate Swiss Army knife here for Spags in this defense.
Yeah. Well, I think one thing as well too with Caleb is you could kind of put him on an island over there, disguise a lot of zone coverages. If
Yeah.
you can have him be single high, but drop back into cover 2 or do cover 3 defense there, and that's going to allow you to put more guys in the box as well too. Just trusting that Caleb Downs, like he's going to do his assignment. He's going to
Yeah.
do what's right on that play there. And I think that's going to even make that defense that much better as well too. Because I think technically the defense dropped off just a tad from the 2024 season, but not by much. And Justin Reed was the only real piece that left from the Super Bowl runner-up team to this past season. So I think getting another guy like him and you can be more aggressive on the defensive side of the ball is going to help out that Chiefs team. So here with the Bengals, I think for the Bengals, they need new ownership and front office, maybe new head coach, but can't do that here. Bengals fans probably agree with that. They've invested a lot in the linebacking room. They traded some guys. And I say that because I do like Sonny Styles. I wouldn't be surprised if they went here, but since they've already invested in it, that's where I think I'm going to steer away because they had some rookies from last year as well. So it's a possibility though. DJ Turner's come on strong, but I think here it's a lot of different ways. I mean, I think it's more organizational issues because I think offensively, we all know. I mean, could you improve the offensive line here? Of course, I'm going to go with the defensive line here. I'm going to go with another Clemson guy. I'm going to go with Peter Woods here.
Okay.
Get some guys in there as well to try and help out that defensive interior. I'm sure Trey Hendrickson's moving on, but you drafted Shamar Stewart. You do have Miles Murphy in there. Joseph Asai is back now. It's not particularly great, but also the Bengals are in just an odd spot to where there's other things that are going on within the Bengals team as well too, which is why this defense and the team has been struggling. Joe Burrow getting hurt isn't good also, but at the same time though, Joe Burrow can only score 35 points so many times and the defense still loses the game for them before things are like, okay, we got to change this. So I'm going to go with Peter Woods. There's so many different
Yeah.
ways. As a prospect, I like him. He's probably the best defensive tackle, I would say, in this class. A lot of good defensive lineman guys. There's going to be your pick of the litter of the type of edge rusher that you want. Like if you want a Cassius Howe, but he's more of an outside linebacker. But if they'd want to go with another traditional like Trey Hendrickson type guy on the edge, Keldrick Folk's going to be that guy. There's a bunch of other guys that are like that too. So the Bengals, I haven't put my finger yet on what I think the Bengals are going to do because once again, it's like they need to address the heart and the interior, like the heart internally, like inside the organization.
Oh, the owners.
Yeah,
they need to sell the team
more than just the defensive interior.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I mean, Zach Taylor kind of feels like a dead man walking a little bit at this point, just especially based off of how much head coaching turnover there was this offseason.
He's got the ultimate like Joe Burrow. Got hurt. And then you pay all my star players all the money, rightfully they deserve it. But then it's like, but now my defense sucks. So he's got a couple of scapegoats that he can lean on.
Oh, for sure. But I think you go look at like what the Bills just did with Sean McDermott, whether you agree with that decision or not. I think the impatience of owners, especially owners with superstar quarterbacks to win a Super Bowl is very limited. So very interesting there with the Bengals, but I do like the pick. I think Peter Woods is a good fit. You get him next to Shamar Stewart. We'll see if Trey Hendrickson comes back here with the Dolphins. So the Dolphins, they need a lot. This offensive line is a mess. Wide receiver outside of Jalen Waddle has been hit or miss. Like Cedric Wilson, Malik Washington, like those guys are okay. But again, Cedric Wilson was like a veteran minimum free agent, and then Malik Washington was a 6th-round pick. So not huge investments there. There aren't really any wide receivers on the board I would take. You could technically go with like Vega Yawane from Penn State, but I think that's still too early, even though like Tyler Booker was taken this point. Edge rusher, they've invested in Chop Robinson, and they just traded Jalen Phillips as well. I think ultimately I'm going to go corner here. For Jesse Minter and that new regime, you could take a big swing here with Jermod McCoy, but I think Mansour Delane is the much safer pick. He doesn't have the ceiling, I think, of Jermod McCoy, but with the injuries to Jermod McCoy and just the ACL, he missed all of 2025. I just think Mansour Delane is the safer pick for a regime making their first ever pick in charge. So I think Mansour Delane is going to be the pick here.
I like it. Yeah, I don't think you can go wrong with him. He's a very athletic guy. And I think you can keep on developing him. And then in that division, you're going to have some, I mean, I don't know what the receiving room is going to be like for New England, like if Stephon Diggs is still going to be there, but you guys do so much motion though. You're going to have Garrett Wilson. You're going to have to lock down. The Bills are going to address the receiving room, and they're going to bring in somebody. So you're going to want to help out that secondary a lot. And so I think it's a good pick. To me, now for the Dallas Cowboys here, picking 12. This to me, I think, is where Sonny Styles comes off the board. I think if you're trying to improve your defense as a whole, you also need just a rock star in the middle there. You have Demarion Overshawn, who is great. He is coming off of that knee injury from 2 years ago. And he started, I think, halfway through this year, but still recovering. But he showed a lot of promise. You got a guy like Kenneth Murray, though. He's been around the block for some time, though, now as well. And so I think even as well too, if Sonny Styles is not the main guy starting at first and he's still getting his feet wet, I think this is a guy that you could really build your defense around because he just made a bunch of the right moves at Ohio State. And we could talk about how great Caleb Downs is, how great Arvell Reese is, how great Caden McDonald is. But at the same time, though, too, those guys can't play perfectly, and so you need that guy to also plug up the middle and to always and to control that middle of the field. I think Sonny Styles can do that, and that's what I think this Dallas Cowboys defense needs. So if they want to go edge rusher, they absolutely could do that. I mean, they drafted Donovan as Raku last year as well too. They still have Jadeveon Clowney as well. They traded for Quinton Williams, and I know this defensive interior. So there are some pieces there. There's some other edge rushers that they can go and get,
Yeah.
absolutely. And they're picking again here in the first round as well, where I think there's going to be more edge rushers that might fit their style a little bit more. So, but I'm going to go with Sonny Styles here.
Okay. I like the pick. I think David Bailey would be another fit as well, although he is a little bit lighter. But
Well, to
again,
me, and so I thought about that too before my pick, and not to interrupt, but that's where
no, you're
I
good.
think that's Donovan Ezraku though. Like you draft.
No, I agree. I don't disagree with your pick. I would have made the same one. I just think David Bailey is another option, like if you
Yes.
wanted to address it. But yeah, I think not the 49ers, the Cowboys are going to be going heavy defense. I remember it was maybe it was Dan Quinn's first year there when they drafted Micah Parsons, but I think they had like 13 picks or something, and like 12 of them were defense. Like it was almost all on the defense, and so I think it's going to be another similar draft here for the Cowboys. So here with the Rams, this is a total luxury pick for them. Not to rub salt in the wound there for you, but
no, you're right. No. Hey, the Hoosiers won. I don't care.
Because like the 49ers were sacrificing players to keep Christian McCaffrey healthy. You were just sacrificing Falcons first round picks for the Hoosiers to win. Is that?
Yeah, unintentionally and unknowing to me. Yes.
But so here with the Rams, I think there are two major things that I took away from this season. I think that one, they need a successor to Matthew Stafford. He's 37. He has a really bad back injury apparently that he's been playing through. And there are
so go get another guy with bad back injuries.
Well, true. You go get Ty Simpson. I don't think that is the move that they will make here. I personally think that they would do one of two things. They've kind of done it before. They might just tank a season and then try to get a high draft pick and go for a quarterback that way. Or they would do what they did with Stafford and go get a quarterback. Hear me out, Rams fans. Would you give 3 first round picks and 3 second round picks for Josh Allen if the Bills in a year or two he's 32 and like the Bills are just kind of thrown in the towel on this rebuild because Brandon Beane is gone? Like you could do the same thing again with, I think, a veteran quarterback. So I'm not going to go that way. I'm actually going to take a really big swing here on Jermod McCoy. I know, like I just talked about his injury concerns, but if he is healthy and he's a year and a half removed from that ACL injury, so he's expected to, I believe, maybe work out at the combine and like participate in a pro day. If all looks good with that knee and that checks out, he is worth a top 10 pick. And I think getting him here on a pick that's not yours, I think is a total luxury. So I'm going to go with Jermod McCoy and continue to build out this roster because I think eventually they could make a move to go get a veteran quarterback not having success somewhere else.
Yeah. No, I think that the way the sport's shaping up here, because even if you go look at some of the top guys, I like with Bailey, Falk, Howell, Banks, like they've invested in that a lot, and I like a lot of the guys in their front seven as well too. So that's where to me I'd like no, and they need help on that second. That's been their bugaboo.
Yeah.
If there was a weakness on the team, I know Rams fans, we've talked about it, but it's like if there was a weakness on the team, it was that secondary. So, I mean, it was so bad they made Emmanuel Forbes look good. No, I'm just playing. Just kidding. He did improve, but still, I like that pick. And so here with the Ravens, let me double check. Actually, Ravens haven't picked their head coach yet, have they?
I
don't think they have.
I thought they did.
Yeah. Jesse Minter. Yeah. And so, let me say, yeah, that was a couple days ago. So with the Ravens, they're defensive minded, and I think that's an area too as well that they're going to be going after heavily here. So he's going to want to come in and bring his guys, and this is where to me, what type of defense does he like to run? And to me, that is going to be the area. It's going to be whichever side. Like if he wants to have more of a uh, like a 3-4 style defense, he's going to go more David Bailey. If he's going to have a bigger one, it's going to be Keltrick Falk. Maybe there could be a big guy up the middle. But that's right. I think that addressing that defensive line, I know they're bringing a couple guys back from major injuries. I think that's where they're going to end up going. To me, there's a lot of different ways. I really did like David Bailey. I just think he was so quick. I think you can move him around there. But at the same time, though, too, I am a little. This is tough. I think it's going to be one of those three guys. The way that this board's shaped up is going to be that edge rusher spot. I'll go with David Bailey here. I think he's going to fit a little bit more to some of the other pieces that they have there because they have Matabike, and he's so big. They did draft Mike Green, and I think that's going to be, if they're going to try and go with that personnel, I think that's going to be the route that they're going to end up going here. A lot of different ways I think he could go, but I do feel like that defensive line is going to be the route that they are going to address with this first pick.
Yeah, I agree, and especially Kyle Van Noy is probably, if not moving on, he's very close to. And I think he can win in a similar way that well, I do say so Tuli Tuipulotu, I think more has a body type resembling Keldrick Falk. I don't know. David Bailey to me is like the last of the top tier of edge rushers in this class. I think you take a step down when you get to like Keldrick Falk, Cassius Howell, R. Mason Thomas, and like some of those guys in this class. And so I would just go with the best fit there as well. And I think he's an underrated run defender.
Yeah.
But I say that I'm taking Cassius Howell here for the Buccaneers just because he is that 6'2", 245, like absolute lightning around the edge. And I think that, they could go corner, like Avion Terrell is an interesting one, but I think that they've just invested some money into like Zion McCollum and some other guys. This is also, I think, a pretty decently deep corner class. And not that isn't that at edge rusher, but for a guy of Cassius Howell's skill set and his explosiveness, I really like what he brings to the table, and I think he's a really good scheme fit for Todd Bowles in this defense.
I like it. I think that is good. Yeah, it's similar with what we talked about with Dallas Cowboys. Is I do think for the Buccaneers, it's going to be a lot of defense overall, and so here with the Lions as well, I don't think that you really need to address the
Jets, not the Lions.
Oh, is it the Jets up here?
Yeah. The Jets are up. I don't know if the orders flipped on this because we had to kind of fix it.
Oh yeah, it was Indianapolis. Yep, you're right. The one the one that I'm going here as well too. Yeah, so it is the Jets. Yeah, because the Colts were taken before. Before the Lions there at 16. Yep. Okay, my bad. So here are the Jets as well, and they picked Rueben Bain earlier as well here too.
Yeah.
So they could get some. 1 second here. Sorry, because I was thinking for the Lions. But let me pull the Jets depth chart up here. This could be another one though too. Like I like what they've done on the tackle spots overall. I think that they could get some insurance here on the interior because I think everybody's rooting for Elijah Vera Tucker, but he just keeps getting hurt, and you want to get some more depth behind him here as well. And the ones to me, a lot of these tackles now they are going to kick into guard, and you did just draft. You got John Simpson there as well. It's a little bit older. I need to go back and double check his contract history here as well. But the one that's sticking out to me, a guy that I like, is Vega Ione. I could see you maybe do Spencer Fanu and have him kick in a right guard and back up Elijah Vera Tucker in case if he doesn't get backed up here as well. But Vega Ione, I just remember I think he's going to be a guy that's going to test well. And there's a lot of this is where you start to see there's about 8 or 9 linemen here within these next 30 or 40 picks that a lot of them are probably going to kick into guard as well too. So it's how are the teams going to value them and which ones are going to be the guys. But I'm going to go with Vega Ione there going to the Jets.
Okay. Yeah, and that's for me. If you're gonna like talk about potentially like drafting Fanu and then kicking him into guard, just draft the guard at that point. Like at this, I one, I drafted running back third overall in this mock draft, so can't really speak to positional value. But I think if you have tackles in place, I think drafting a guard to kind of solidify your offensive line is fine. It's not really uh a big deal. I think you look at what like the Cowboys did this past year with Tyler Booker and like how they were able to solidify their offensive line by drafting him 12th overall. I think that is a very solid pick there by the Jets. Now they just need to re-sign Breece Hall. So here with the Lions, I'm tempted to take Keldrick Falk. I think overall that would be of interest. I do think Spencer Fanu as well. Although Penei Sewell plays right tackle, I don't think that they would draft him and kick him into guard. Let's see. Caden Proctor is just an absolute behemoth. What were you thinking for the Lions here?
I was thinking something similar, like on the offensive side of the ball, because with the Lions roster, I like a lot of the roster. They have a younger secondary that they've invested a lot in that I think you want to keep on developing. Now there are some pretty serious injuries on that side, but then at the same time though too, there's nobody really in the secondary that I guess you could go Avion Terrell. You maybe could go CJ Allen.
Yeah.
He's a linebacker. That's kind of early. But this is where it's going to get very interesting. And if you want to start reaching for some guys, you could, and like maybe Chris Johnson, San Diego State,
Brandon Cisse.
Yeah,
Akeem Messidor would be really interesting. I think opposite Aiden Hutchinson.
Yeah.
Who's there? What's their other edge rusher?
Hey, Aiden Hutchinson. They've got the. Let me pull it up here. I just got rid of their depth chart as well. Aiden Hutchinson, Marcus Davenport. We got Josh Pascal. That could be a good one. It just gets some more edge rusher depth.
So then I'm between. I like Keldrick Falk. It's like two totally different. Well, they're the same type, but then it's like, do you take the 20-year-old that like had a breakout season, or do you take the 25-year-old that just has absolute like insane production?
Yeah.
Let's go. Let's go Akeem Messidor. Let's mix it up here. I think he had a fantastic national championship game. His production is absolutely off the charts. He's fantastic against the run. And he can really bend the edge. And let's mix it up here. I don't want to just go absolutely chalk, but we'll go Akeem Messidor here for the Lions.
Nah, I'm with you on that. He definitely improved his draft stock as well, just with his overall speed, just blowing by Carter Smith at times. Made Carter Smith give up his first sack on the season at Indiana. So a lot of fun. He's going to be an interesting guy to watch overall. Here with Minnesota, I think this could be one of those where it's maybe a sneaky, depending on how aggressive they want to get, go go and get Jeremiah Love if he's available, because that's the clear need to me on the offensive side of the ball. You can improve the offensive line, yes. I think I like Ryan Kelly, I like Will Fries. They both were battling injuries there as well too. I like Christian Darrisaw also, but for me, I think they're going to try and go best player available. And if there's an area too, I know they have TJ Hawkinson. To me, it's interesting here. I was more fond, at least watching, maybe it was a scheming thing, of Jermaine Johnson from Oregon. Is he coming out or is he going back? Because I see Kenyon Sadiq here. I don't know.
No, he is going back to school. He's like a true sophomore.
I thought he was coming out, or I thought he had an option to come out, but he was going back. And so Kenyon Sadiq a little bit to me. I bring up tight ends. I know they have TJ Hawkinson there, but he's getting a little bit up there in age. And it might be a little. I think Sadiq might fall out of the first round, but that's something that we'll keep on monitoring and seeing how he tests well and maybe some other scheme fits. Here, I don't know. I think there's a lot of different ways they can go. I think similar though. I don't want to just go straight chalk, but at the same time though, Avion Terrell. I mean, they need help on the defensive side of the ball. Need help in the
Yeah.
secondary. I'm going to go with Avion Terrell here.
Yeah. I like that. And then he can honestly be their nickel, which in that division, I think you're going to need a lot of. And
Yeah.
he's very feisty for someone who's slightly undersized. So I like that fit a lot there for them. So here, Carolina Panthers, very interested to see what they end up deciding to do. Did they pick up Bryce Young's 5th-year option?
I'll double check here. I think they did.
I thought they
I'm
did.
pretty sure they did.
But I think overall they are a good team. They
Yeah,
have
they do.
a fairly well-rounded roster. Okay. I, I think you pick up Bryce Young's 5th-year option. I think you want to give him every opportunity to succeed. I think this offensive line is okay. This running game was decent this year. Like Rico Dowdle had a really hot streak for like 8 games. But the name I'm drawn to here is TJ Parker because I think they just need more consistency on the edge. I think JC Horn is a fantastic corner. There aren't really any safeties at this point that I would really like. And I just think TJ Parker, he's not the most explosive edge rusher, but I think he's the body style that they want. And yeah, I'm gonna go with him because he's just a very well-rounded edge rusher for this Panthers team.
I like it. I like it. I like it. Yeah, it's with Carolina, their issue, I think, is going to be that quarterback spot. Because I like what Dave Canales is doing offensively, massively improved defensively. I think you go with a guy like TJ Parker. I think it's going to be best player available overall, but they need to figure out the defensive side of the ball. Sorry, the quarterback spot and get him going in the right direction because he definitely regressed, in my opinion. And so here now with the Dallas Cowboys, their second pick, they picked Sonny Styles earlier as well. And so this is the Green Bay Packers pick here. And to me, it's you could go edge rusher here. Let me pick up some other edge rushers here. I'm trying to see then as well because I'm also thinking corner as well too. I mean, you have Siobhan Ravel, but at the same time though too, Trayvon Diggs they obviously traded or they cut, I should say. And so there's some guys here I think that they could move up a little bit here. Colton Hood, Brandon Sisse, Keith Abney, as well too, Chris Johnson, D'Angelo Pons. That's going to be a lot of fun, but he'll probably be available for their next pick in the second round. They want to go there. And there's a lot of guys I think as well too in that other area as well. But they want to go corner there. And so for me, a type of edge rusher that they would want to get, I'm going to go with Keldrick Falk here. I think get him off the board. But the big defensive end, they're going to be running that. I think typically that kind of like that 3-4 as well too. But he's a guy I think you can have on the field whether it's 3-4, 4-3.
Yeah.
And if you have the explosive outside linebackers or edge rushers that to come around him, I think you pair him up with Quinn Williams. I think it's going to be interesting on what they end up doing there.
Yeah, he can definitely kick into inside. Like I imagine him, Quinnen Williams. You have Donovan Ezeraku on the outside of him. I think that would be a nightmare for offensive lines. So here with the Steelers, I think it didn't work out for them last time. They selected a quarterback in the 20s, but you got to think Ty Simpson came into the draft thinking that he would be a first round pick. Leaving school early with a year left of eligibility. And I think the Steelers, Aaron Rodgers is probably done. Mike McCarthy, I think, is going to want to get his hands on a young, multiple quarterback. And I think Ty Simpson is the guy for the job. This offensive line was okay. I think this running game was okay. We'll see what happens with DK Metcalf because they actually have, because of his suspension, they have an option to get out of like $42 million guaranteed, I think. If not more. And so we'll see what happens with that wide receiver core. But again, I think this wide receiver class is deeper than it is top heavy. And I think with Ty Simpson here going 21st to the Steelers, that is, potentially their quarterback of the future.
Yeah, I could see it. I will say I've heard just some reports. I think that they would actually maybe run it with Will Howard and see how that goes. But I
Yeah.
am curious though too if them bringing Mike McCarthy in, if that's a signal to be like, hey, Rodgers, do you want to run it back one more time? I don't know. Like I think the relationship between Mike McCarthy and Aaron Rodgers is good from their Green Bay days, but then at the same time though too, it
They won a
would be
Super Bowl
interesting.
together.
Exactly. So I would say it's pretty good. So because I will say this too as well. It's probably an unpopular opinion. I don't think Rodgers was the issue there in Pittsburgh. I think defensively there was a lot of problems there. I don't think he had the weapons. I think Arthur Smith as an OC was not good. Lots of things I think that they could have improved on, to say the least. So
Yeah.
here with the 22nd pick, Los Angeles Chargers are on the board, and I mean, I would love to just say like, oh, obviously let's go defense here or offensive line here. But a couple things. One, it's not too many guys that are available. But two, they have a really good offensive line. Just they were all hurt. Everybody was hurt in that playoff game, and so with Jim Harbaugh. But I say all that it actually would be interesting if Spencer Fanu, because he's probably going to be a guy that kicks in the guard here as well. Now, is he going to be big enough? Like, because as of right now at right guard, you have Mekhi Becton, and that
Yeah.
dude
Well, they might release him. There's a
might.
lot of reports
And
there.
so I actually think, I say that offensive line. I think you go Spencer Fanu. I think you're gonna need to you're probably gonna kick in the guard as well. Defensively, I liked a lot of the stuff that they've got there. As you're famously saying, not any superstars. No, I'm just joking. They have superstars, they have really good guys, but I think the sum of the whole, how Jim Harbaugh coaches that
The-
defense up
yeah.
is a great benefit. But I
They're not
think
the
they're gonna go
Texans
offensive
where
line,
5 players
right?
have 80% of their production.
Exactly. So I am actually going to go with Fanu
Okay.
specifically to kick into right guard as well. So that's why I'm going with the right tackle. If they had left guard issues, which maybe they do, then I would have gone with Caleb Lomu.
Okay. So I think Fanu is more likely to kick into guard. I think Lomu is actually a really good tackle prospect. He's just like 10, 15 pounds light, and he
Oh well,
needs to
that's
just put
nothing.
on
Then
weight.
yeah, he'll put on weight.
I think that's just the big concern there with Lomu. But yeah, I like that. I think there were concerns, especially you go watch like the Texas Tech matchup with Spencer Fanu and David Bailey really kind of takes his lunch money for a large majority of that game. And I think his physicality will be, best served in a phone booth. And I think at right guard, he can do that. So here with the Eagles, I know you mentioned Kenyon Sadiq probably might fall out of the first round, but I think he would just be too good of an option here for the Eagles. I think you have AJ Brown, Devontae Smith. They have Grant Calcaterra and Dallas Goddard, and they have a good tight end room, but none of those guys are as good as I think Sadiq can be. Especially with the ball in his hands and just how elite of an athlete he is. He's a much more willing run blocker than I think people give him credit for. I think that this is a good range for him, though, because I think his utilization will probably be something to the likes of Dalton Kincaid in Buffalo, where it's like he's probably like 70% of his snaps are going to be passing snaps. The other 30%, like he'll be run blocking. But I think part of that is just at the NFL level, his size, he's only 240 pounds. Like his
Mhm.
size will not hold up throughout. Like if the Eagles are competing for Super Bowls, they'd be playing 21 games potentially. So I just think that will be more of his usage. So I think mid to late 20s is probably where he'll end up going.
Okay, I like it. I like it. And so for me here, picking for the Cleveland Browns again as well. And I'm sorry, who'd you pick there again? I just want to make sure.
Kenyon Sadiq.
Kenny Sadiq. Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
And so, sorry, my order now on my PFF is all messed up, so I'm making sure that I got it. I'm just going to pick the players off the board. So, but for the Cleveland Browns here, you go and get a weapon for Shador Sanders or any future quarterback, so to say. But then now it is important to keep on building this offensive line here. And we talked about him a little bit just a second ago with Caleb Lomu. And once again, it's like even if he does kick in the guard, great. Anywhere on that offensive line is going to help out a bunch. But if he does want to keep him at left tackle, I think he could be better than Cam Robinson. And so try him out there. If not, kick him in guard, move him around, just find these right pieces. They've thrown a lot of pieces at this offensive line here. Well, it's going to be important on who the new head coach is going to be. But to me, I think if you're a first round for the Browns, you got a receiver that can produce a lot. You got an offensive lineman that could stick at left tackle or kick in the guard if need be. That has a lot of promise either way. So once you got two good prospects, it's fortunate for them that for the prospects that they're going to the Browns. So it's probably not going to pan out. But it's still, I think, in theory, it makes sense.
Yeah, no, I think, if the Browns come out of this with Mekhi Lemon, Caleb Lomu, and then, the 10 other draft picks that they have, like, I think that they could really, kind of revamp this offense, because I'm assuming they're going to double, if not triple dip at wide receiver. Harold Fannin was a really solid option. They might get another tight end in this draft.
Yeah.
David Njoku is 29 and going into free agency. So I think that there are a lot of different routes that the Browns could go overall. So moving on to the Chicago Bears, I am really interested to see how this one goes over. Because Ozzie Trapillo was playing left tackle for them. Who was their original left tackle?
Braxton Jones.
Did he get hurt, or did they just bench him for play?
He got hurt, but Trapillo came in.
Okay. Well, then I guess I was going to potentially float the idea out there of going Monroe Freeling. My mouse is stuck. There it is. Okay. Of going Monroe Freeling, because Ozzie Trapillo is not going to play this year. I know they just invested in him, but I think, protecting Caleb Williams is going to be really important. But if Braxton Jones is going to be healthy and coming back, I think that that's fine for that position. And then that'll give Trapillo a little bit more time to come out. I'm going to go with a different Georgia player, though. I'm going to go with Christian Miller, the defensive tackle out of Georgia. He's just a really athletic guy. He can create a lot of pressure up the middle. And I think when you look at that division, Detroit, pretty solid offensive line. And Jared Goff loves to step up in the pocket. Jordan Love, kind of the same thing as well. And so I think that's, and then, Minnesota, JJ McCarthy, it's kind of hard to tell because he's not very good. But I think Christian Miller would be a really good, at the start, maybe rotational piece for that pass rush. But then I think he could really turn into like a 3-down player for this Bears team and be an aggressive up the field defensive tackle. So I'm going to go that route.
I like it. I like it a lot. And so I think anything defensively for Chicago is going to be a good way to go. Just get younger there. I can see CJ Allen also being a good guy if you want to address that linebacker room. But there's a lot of other linebackers that you can go and get here. So here for the Bills, I think especially too with the comments from the owner about their receiver that they drafted a couple years ago, I am leaning receiver here heavily. A guy I would love for them to go and get would have been Chris Bell, but he's coming off an ACL injury and that he got in November. So his availability really for this upcoming season is going to be in question overall. I think it's going to be very unique here because one, the IU guys, you're going to have Omar Cooper, Elijah Surratt. Both those guys are going to be at least round 2 guys as well, but 2 totally different receivers. Elijah Surratt to me is going to be something similar, I would say. He's going to be kind of more that route technician, kind of maybe like similar to like a Josh Palmer, so to say. While I think Omar Cooper can be that much more dynamic guy overall. However, I will say with both of them, love both of them, always will. I don't think that they will develop into being like that number 1 guy that you can go and lean and rely on as well too. And not some of these other guys, I don't know if they will. In general, but I think a guy though that kind of has the ability, from what I was saying overall, to move around a bunch and have that quickness and that speed. I'm going to be curious to see how he tests overall. But I'm actually going to go with Jeremy Bernard here as well. I think he's going to fit a little bit more. I think he's going to complement Khalil Shakir better. I think if Keon Coleman just develops into that deep threat guy, I think he's that middle. Would love to pick Omar Cooper here, but at the same time, though, too, I see Omar Cooper and Elijah Surratt being good, reliable number 2s overall. And for two totally different reasons. Well, I think Jeremy Bernard, watching him though, I think is that athleticism that he brings to the table, and I think complements their current receiving room as of right now. And also, too, if you go look at how Alabama played and Ty Simpson like had to scramble and improvise vast majority of the time, that was essentially their offense the entire year.
Yeah.
And so, not the entire year. You get what I'm saying. So, much as it pains me to take an Alabama receiver over an IU receiver, how rare of an opportunity that is, I'm going to go with Jeremy Bernard here.
Yeah. So I was doing the wide receiver evaluations, and I do love the Indiana wide receivers. I think you hit the nail on the head of like round 2, most likely. Uh, Jeremy Bernard to me was like a slightly better version of Omar Cooper. I think
Yeah.
he's just a little bit bigger, probably just about the same athletically, really solid hands as well. So I think that that's a good pick there by the Bills. I maybe would have gone Denzel Boston. But I think if you go Denzel Boston, that is like super redundant to Keon Coleman. I know the comments have been made in that press conference, but I think it's probably still a little too early to punt completely on that pick.
Yeah.
So here, speaking of Denzel Boston with the 49ers, Juwan Jennings is a free agent. He's also getting up there in age. Brandon Ayuk is, as John Lynch would say, taking his last snap as a 49er, and George Kittle popped his Achilles. They need pass catchers. And I think Denzel Boston could come in here. I like Ricky Pearsall as a compliment. You have CMC still. But I think Denzel Boston is going to go here to the 49ers because they need that dominant outside receiver, and that's exactly what he is. The other thing, I think you go look, Washington at the end of last year, people really just kind of started to take Boston out of games because they were doubling him. They were just not letting him beat them and make Washington do other things. So Washington got really creative with their formations with him. There were times like he lined up in the backfield. He would line up at like a stand-up tight end spot. He kind of lined up all over the formation in the slot out wide. He would go in motion. And I think that would set him up really well in a Shanahan offense where he's going to be asked to do a lot of different things. So I think overall that's a really good pick there for the 49ers.
I like it. Yeah, no, that makes sense too. Just get some more skill position players out there. They maybe could go offensive line, but once again, as well too, the offensive line. It's once we start to see some more of these guys on like in the Senior Bowl and then the Combine, we'll start to get a clearer picture of who's separating themselves overall. And so, speaking of offensive line here, to me, I think the Houston Texans really need to figure out something. It's like I like Ariante Ursery. I think he panned out well. Trent Brown's getting way up there in age. Other spots as well too, like Jake Andrews at Ingram. They just need to just get better and just get younger. And so they've drafted a couple guys in day 2 overall over these past couple of years that are their backups as of right now. But to me, though, once again, to me, I think this is a clear offensive line spot, and to me, I think Caden Proctor would kick in to guard as well too. But what would concern me though is just I think really good run blocking. But the issue though was with CJ Stroud, you have him back there pass blocking. Then that's just going to be an issue. And so for me, you've mentioned this guy more. Would Monroe Freeling does to me when I've seen him does not seem like a guy that's going to kick in. And
He's not going to kick in. He could be
they
a
have
right
left
tackle.
Tackles. Yeah, you could do that. To me, this might not be popular. I'm going to go with Jennings Dunker here because I think he can kick in to guard. You can try him at right tackle as well. He could fall. I think once again, as we learn more about like which guys potentially could come in, like arm length, everything, seeing these guys test one another. He does have good run blocking. From what I was able to see here as well, too. Good pass blocking as well. I think he can be a reliable guy, at least on the offensive line in general. So, but once again, it's going to be a lot of pick your poison. I think with a lot of these guys here, not pick your poison. Sorry, pick your flavor because the type of style, what you're looking to address first as well too, and that offensive line for Houston is everything outside of left tackle needs to be addressed.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. And like, I think like Jake Andrews was okay at center for them this year, and then I think you go and look at Blake Fisher at right guard was okay. Maybe he switches to left guard, and then Jennings Dunker kicks into right guard because I think, especially in like Nick Caley's Josh McDaniels somewhat disciple. He also was in LA for a few years, but I think they run similar systems, and usually like that right guard is like the mauler of the offensive line, and I think that is Jennings Dunker to a T. So I think that is a good pick here with the Rams. You know, I think they drafted Jermod McCoy earlier in this. Yeah, I, I think they could go Caden Proctor here, but I am going to give Monroe Freeling the nod because I think he is a really good athlete. He's a former basketball player. You can really see that when he jumps out in his stance, very wide. He's got great length, and he just did a really good job this year. Like through and through. He's just a really solid tackle. He is probably going to have to switch sides because they do have Alaric Jackson there, but Rob Havenstein is the right tackle, and he's getting up there in age. And so I think, especially you already have the first pick overall. If Matthew Stafford does come back, or whether they go and get another quarterback, I think Monroe Freeling is going to be the pick here for the Rams.
I like it. I like it. So, for the Denver Broncos, to me, I like the offensive line. We'll need to see their contractual situations there, but I think they're fine there overall. I think then as well too defensively, maybe there's some areas, but to me, I think their biggest thing, especially with where they're picking at now, is I think get more weapons and more playmakers. They have, I think, guys like Pat Bryant, Troy Franklin have done really well. Cortland Sutton is your particular X guy. He's a really good receiver. He's not going to be. He's like Mike Evans ish, so to say, in his elitism, more than like Puka Nacua, Justin Jefferson, like with their speed and just like can just create their own separation, so to say. And that's I'm not trying to do like Cortland Sutton's one of the better receivers in the league, but it's just what he brings to this offense is just that elite size and consistency on the outside. And this is where, to me, I think an Omar Cooper would complement well in Sean Payton's system over um, some of the other guys here. Personally, I've already talked about this. If Chris Bell didn't tear his ACL, I think Chris Bell would be the better option here. But when I look at everybody else, though, that's available and a guy that could come in and be a playmaker, I think Omar Cooper can come in and you can move him around a lot. He could be that slot. He can create his own space. I think Sean Payton can help create his own space. I think he'd work really well too with Bo Nix also. So I'm gonna go with Omar Cooper here as well. I say earlier he was probably a second round pick, yes. But also if I look at the needs of Denver and looked at who was taken off the board here, and then I think that I would rather have him more than maybe a Casey Concepcion, who is, I think, maybe less versatile in his route running receiving capabilities. He's more of kind of like a gadget kind of guy, in my opinion. People might take that the wrong way, but that's not what I meant.
I think Casey Concepcion is a good receiver. I think he's built very well for the modern NFL, but I think the one thing that Omar Cooper has that Concepcion doesn't, that I think Sean Payton will value is, and this is not to say Concepcion is bad, but Concepcion, I think is good after the catch and he's good at forcing missed tackles, but he's not going to run through tackles. And yeah. I think just Omar Cooper is 6 foot, 200 pounds. Concepcion is 5'11", 180. Like that's a big difference. And I think that Peyton will value that there as well. Also, that you look at the drop rate, I think is another thing to consider.
Well, and Cooper does all the little things really well. I mean, he's a great run blocker. He's a great downfield blocker when the plays are already been going on as well too. And so I think that he would fit really well within Sean Payton's system because one thing with these Indiana receivers, well, too, they fit really well within that system. But Cooper to me is the only guy I think that could maybe be a really good complement, be like the best complement I think in a NFL receiver type system with how athletic all those guys are. I think a guy like Elijah Surratt he's could do fine.
To me.
Well, yeah, he could do fine in the NFL, but he's not going to. He struggled when there's a superior corner that was guarding him. go look at the national championship, like OJ Frederick, who I think could be a top 10 pick next year. Surratt struggled a
Yeah.
little bit, and we did see that at times throughout his
Yeah.
college career.
No, I agree with that completely. And I think that's why Cooper will ultimately, as we have here, be the one drafted higher out of the two. So,
yeah.
Here with my New England Patriots, this is a tough spot because they spent a lot of money in free agency this past season. I think they've done a really good job of rounding out the roster as a whole. I think there are some glaring needs. I think left guard. I think Will Campbell stays at left tackle, and for a couple reasons. And sorry, this is going to be a long pick, but I think he has been fine 90% of the year. I think he has some really bad performances against the league's top edge rushers. Go look at Will Anderson, Danielle Hunter, Myles Garrett. Like those guys, I think is when he's really struggled. But like those guys beat NFL tackles week in and week out. That's why they get paid as much as they do. And so I think overall, I'm comfortable with Will Campbell there. I think if you're going to go left guard, I would be totally fine with Emmanuel Pregnon here at 31. I think that is going to be a really solid pick. The one thing, and we talked a little bit about this in our Patriots Seahawks Super Bowl preview, is the Patriots just don't have anybody that like really scares me on the offensive side of the ball. Like they don't have that separator. And I think that this is a prime opportunity to potentially invest in a top receiving weapon. You can, or you could do what you did last year and potentially wait and get like a Kyle Williams type guy who, has some things to work out. I think overall, my instincts tell me go get Emmanuel Pregnon, put him at left guard. You'll kick Jared Wilson to center, and then you can get a developmental right tackle on day 2 or 3. But I think Emmanuel Pregnon comes in, he solidifies the left side of that offensive line. Jared Wilson is your center of the future. Mike Nwinu is 28 and in playing really good football. Morgan Moses comes back, and I think not only does that set you up well to protect Drake May, but then I think Josh McDaniels, one thing that he's really lacked this season is a downhill run game that I think Emmanuel Pregnon can help bring to this Patriots team here. So I'm going to go with Emmanuel Pregnon, the guard from Oregon.
I like it. Yeah, no, it's interesting too. I mean, these are still first round picks, but what's the hit rate of picks taken between in the 20s? And now, like so you're trying
pretty
to
much
find
outside the top 10. It's from top 10 to top 50. Like that hit rate is pretty close, and that like top 10 is 90%. But and then I think you can get wide receivers. This is a really deep edge rusher class. Like I think Malachi Lawrence is a good like late day 2, early day 3 prospect. Joshua Joseph's very similar. Gabe Akis. Like there are so many guys in this edge class you can go get in round 2 or 3.
Yeah. So, and I think too as well. So you're talking about this, and we've seen this with Seattle in the past. Now there was different coaching staffs here as well, but I'm sitting here and I'm trying to find like what are some other guys that could come in and help improve this team. And there's a lot of things I like about Seattle here as well. I mean, maybe if you want to be specific, like maybe center, like right guard, and like interior a little bit. Anyone interior not named Gray Zabel, even though it's like offensive line is significantly improved as a whole. But we're going to mix it up here. It's with Zach Charbonnet tearing his ACL. He's borderline close to where his 26th season is going to be up in the air on if he's going to play or not. And so I think it's going to force their hands. Okay, we're going to have to pay Kenneth Walker because we want to have this. And at the same time, we want to have a 1-2 punch. And to me, I look at Jadarian Price, and I think that's going to be the thing is everybody's talking like, is Kenneth Walker going to walk? And are you going to go with Zach Charbonnet? I bet they re-signed Kenneth Walker, let Charbonnet walk. Because Charbonnet, so he tore his ACL in January, let's say at best, 6 months.
No, it's not. It's close to 9.
Close to 9 now. And even then too, is he going to be at full capacity or full trust, so to say? So 9 months from now, I mean, that's the start of the season here as well too. Even if he is able to come back later on the second half of the season, you get Jadarian Price some reps, and then you let Zach Charbonnet walk at the end of the 2026 season, and then it's like you miss nothing really overall. 'Cause with Jarian Price, what we've seen from him, he was already coming out of a 2-back system as well at Notre Dame. He can do it all. I would say that Zach Charbonnet and Kenneth Walker can do as well. So I think that would be a route that they would end up going. Because also, too, defensively, at least as of right now, we need to see who is available, who's going to be a free agent, who might walk, look at their cap space still. But then at the same time, it's like, yeah, that running back room, though, like they need was helped out. The Seahawks offense has been the also massive improvement in their running game as well. And
Yeah.
I think they're going to want to keep that going.
Yeah, no, I agree completely. And like you look, Gray Zabel has done a fantastic job in that offense as well. So like I really like what the Seahawks have done. It is unfortunate with Zach Charbonnet, that whole situation, because that might he was looking to be the running back that they extended. Now it's probably going to be Kenneth Walker, then they won't have enough money on the books to go and extend Charbonnet. So now that injury might cost him a second contract, and then he might go sign a 1-year deal somewhere else and kind of have to go that route with his career. So it is unfortunate, but all in all, like this draft class, I think is really interesting. It's not quarterback heavy. It does remind me a little bit of last year's class where there are some really talented players at the top, but once when you get past like 14 or 15, I mean, you start to draw thin on like some top tier talent. So I think like we really could see some shockers in the first round this year again. And I go back and like even thinking about like the Patriots pick at 31, Omar Cooper, like I think you could have made the case for Chris Bell, Casey Concepcion, like any of those guys there. Chris Brazel was another one. Like Emmanuel Pregnon, you still had Caden Proctor still on the board for tackles. Max Ihianacho, the right tackle from Arizona State, is another guy that I think is going to be a riser once we start getting into the testings in like early March. This draft class, again, not the superstars that's going to be next year in 2027, but this draft class, I think a lot of teams are going to get a lot better just overall throughout their roster. So I'm looking forward to this draft class.
Yeah, same here.
So let's go ahead. Let's wrap it up here. If you guys have not already, please go ahead and like and subscribe. That is the best way to help out the channel. While you're down there, leave a comment on who you think is going to come out ahead. Oh, what am I doing? Leave a comment on what you thought of your team's pick in this mock draft. Did you love it? Did you hate it? What would you have done differently than that? We'll see you guys next time.